The thing that we read before was up to the introduction up to the Śikṣāṣtaka Prayers. So we're going to read the Chaitanya Charitamrita.
Oh, wow.
They've been on the pundits trying to get on. I'm going to give them some instructions here. Try the meeting ID and password. Anyway, we're just going to go ahead and start. Can you see that?
Yeah, I see it.
Okay.
All right, I'll go.
Okay, yeah, just start reading in the first paragraph. Go ahead.
The following summary of the 12th chapter is given by Srila Bhakti Vedanta Thakur and is
Amrita Pravaha Bhasya.
Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu passed his nights tasting the meaning of the Śikṣāṣtaka Prayers in the company of Swarupa Damodara Goswami and Ramananda Raya. Sometimes he recited verses from Jayadeva Goswami, the Gita Govinda, from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, from Sri Ramananda Raya's Jagannath Vallabha Nataka, or from Srila Sri Bilvamanangala Thakur Krishna Karnamaratra. In this way, he became absorbed in ecstatic emotions. For over the 12 years of the Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu lived in Jagannath Puri, he relished the taste of reciting such transcendental verses. Altogether, the Lord was present in this mortal world for 48 years. After hinting about the Lord's disappearance, the author of the Chaitanya Kammarata gives a short description of the entire, how do you pronounce that?
Antilila.
Antilila. And then the book ends. And then ends his book.
Okay, we're not going to read the Sanskrit or anything. We're just going to read the English translation. Only the most fortunate will relish the mad words of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, which were mixed with jubilation, envy, agitation, submissiveness, and grief, all produced by ecstatic, loving emotions. Alan, Michael, are you there?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, go. We're going to read every other verse and the purport with each verse, and just the English, though. Go ahead with the second one.
All glories to Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. All glories to Lord Nityananda. All glories to Advaita Chandra. And all glories to all the devotees of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Go ahead, Al. Text 3. Alan?
He's muted right now.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. While Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu thus resided at Jagannath Puri, he was continuously overwhelmed night and day by separation from Krishna.
Text 4. Day and night he tasted transcendental blissful songs and verses with two associates, namely Swarup Damodar Goswami and Ramananda Roy. Michael.
He relished the symptoms of various transcendental emotions, such as jubilation, lamentation, anger, humility, anxiety, grief, eagerness, and satisfaction.
Go ahead, Al.
He would recite his own verses, expressing their meanings and emotions, and thus enjoy tasting them with these two friends.
Text 7. Sometimes the Lord would be absorbed in a particular emotion and would stay awake all night reciting related verses and relishing their taste.
Text 8. In great jubilation, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, "My dear Swarup Damodar and Ramananda Roy, know from me that chanting the holy names is the most feasible means of salvation in this age of Kali."
Text 9.
Go
In
ahead.
this age of Kali, the process of worshiping Krishna is to perform sacrifice by chanting the holy name of the Lord. One who does so is certainly very intelligent, and he attains shelter at the lotus of the feet of Krishna.
Text 10. In this age of Kali, intelligent persons will perform congregational chanting to worship the incarnation of Godhead, who constantly sings the name of Krishna. Although his complexion is not blackish, he is Krishna himself. He is accompanied by his associates, servants, weapons, and confidential companions. Purport. This verse was spoken by Saint Karabhajan in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 11.5.32. For further information, see Adi Lila chapter 3, text 52.
Text 11. Simply by chanting the holy name of Lord Krishna, one can be freed from all undesirable habits. This is the means of awakening all good fortune and initiating the flow of waves of love for Krishna.
Okay, this is the
Text.
first verse of the Śikṣāṣtaka Prayers. Go ahead, Al.
Text 12. Let there be all victory for chanting of the holy name of Lord Krishna, which can cleanse the mirror of the heart and stop the miseries of the blazing fire of material existence. That chanting is the waxing moon that spreads the white lotus of good fortune for all living entities. It is the life and soul of all education. The chanting of the holy name of Krishna expands the blissful ocean of transcendental life. It gives a cooling effect to everyone and enables one to taste full nectar at every step.
Go ahead, Mike. Or Mike,
Okay.
text 13.
By performing congregational chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra, one can destroy the sinful condition of material existence, purify the unclean heart, and awaken all varieties of devotional service.
Melissa. Hey, Melissa. You there, Melissa? Okay, there you are.
I'm here.
Okay, start reading 14. So we'll go. You go first. Here, check 14.
The result of chanting is that one awakens his love for Krishna and tastes transcendental bliss. Ultimately, one attains the association of Krishna and enjoys in his devotional service as if immersing himself in a great ocean of love.
Alan, text 15.
Text 15. The lamentation and humility awoke within Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he began reciting another of his own verses. By hearing the meanings of that verse, one can forget all unhappiness and lamentation.
Go ahead, Michael.
Text 16. My Lord, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, in your holy name there is all good fortune for the living entity, and therefore you have many names, such as Krishna and Govinda, by which you expand yourself. You have invested all your potencies in those names, and there are no hard and fast rules for remembering them. My dear Lord, although you bestow such mercy upon the fallen conditioned souls by liberally teaching your holy names, I am so unfortunate that I commit offenses while chanting the holy name, and therefore I do not achieve attachment for chanting.
Text 17. Because people vary in their desires, you have distributed various holy names by your mercy. Melissa.
Regardless of the time or space, one who chants the holy name, even while eating or sleeping, attains all perfection.
Alan.
Sleeping?
Text 19. You have invested your full potencies in each individual holy name. but I am so fortunate that I have no attachment for chanting your own holy names.
Michael.
Text 20. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu continued, O Swarup Damodar Goswami and Ramananda Roy, hear from me the symptoms of how one should chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra to awaken very easily one's dormant love for Krishna.
Text 21. This is supposed to be the most important verse in the Śikṣāṣtaka Prayers. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, who wrote the Chaitanya Charitamrita, said you should wear this verse around your neck. One who thinks himself lower than the grass, who is more talented than a tree, who does not expect personal honor, but is always prepared to give all respects to others, can very easily always chant the holy name of the Lord. Melissa?
These are the symptoms of one who chants the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Although he is very exalted, he thinks himself lower than the grass on the ground, and like a tree, he tolerates everything in two ways.
Text 23. When a tree is cut down, it does not protest, and even when drying up, it does not ask anyone for water.
Text 24. The tree delivers its fruits, flowers, and whatever else it possesses to anyone and everyone. It tolerates scorching heat and torrents of rain, yet it still gives shelter to others.
Text 25. Although a Vaishnava is the most exalted person, he is prideless and gives all respect to everyone, knowing everyone to be the resting place of Krishna. Melissa?
If one chants the holy name of Lord Krishna in this manner, he will certainly awaken the dormant love for Krishna's lotus feet.
Text 27.
Right.
Text 27. As Lord Chaitanya spoke in this way, his humility increased, and he began praying to Krishna that he would discharge pure devotional service.
Alan?
Text 28. Wherever there is a relationship of love of Godhead, its natural symptom is that the devotee does not think himself a devotee. Instead, he always thinks that he has not even a drop of love for Krishna.
Go ahead and read the purport.
Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur comments that persons who are actually very poor because they possess not even a drop of love of Godhead or pure devotional service falsely advertise themselves as great devotees, although they cannot at any time relish the transcendental bliss of devotional service. A class of so-called devotees, known as Prakrita Sahijas, sometimes display devotional symptoms to exhibit their good fortune. They are pretending, however, because these devotional features are only external. The Prakrita Sahijas exhibit these symptoms to advertise their so-called advancement in love of Krishna. But instead of praising the Prakrita Sahijas for their symptoms of transcendental ecstasy, pure devotees do not like to associate with them. It is not advisable to equate the Prakrita Sahijas with pure devotees. When one is actually advanced in ecstatic love of Krishna, he does not try to advertise himself. Instead, he endeavors more and more to render service to the Lord.
You can read the second paragraph, Alan.
The
Prakrita Sahajas.
sometimes criticize pure devotees by calling them philosophers. Learned scholars, knowers of the truth, are minute observers, but not devotees. On the other hand, they depict themselves as the most advanced, transcendentally blissful devotees, deeply absorbed in devotional service and mad to taste transcendental mellows. They also describe themselves as the most advanced devotees in spontaneous love, as knowers of transcendental mellows, as the topmost devotees in conjugal love of Krishna, and so on. Not actually knowing the transcendental nature of love of God, they accept their material emotion to be indicative of advancement. In this way, they pollute the process of devotional service. To try to become writers of Vaishnava literature, They introduce their material conceptions of life into pure devotional service. Because of their material conceptions, they advise themselves as knowers of transcendental mellows, but they do not understand the transcendental nature of devotional service.
O Lord of the universe, I do not desire material wealth, materialistic followers, a beautiful wife, or fruit of activities described in flowery language. All I want, life after life, is unmotivated, motivated devotional service to you. Go ahead, Melissa.
My dear Lord Krishna, I do not want material wealth from you, nor do I want followers, a beautiful wife, or the results of fruitive activities. I pray only that by your causeless mercy, you give me pure devotional service to you, life after life.
Michael.
Text 31. In great humility, considering himself a conditioned soul of the material world, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu again expressed his desire to be endowed with service to the Lord.
Go ahead, Al.
Text 32. O my Lord Krishna, son of Maharaja Ananda, I am your eternal servant. But because of my own fruitful acts, I have fallen into the horrible oceans of nuisance. Now please be cautiously merciful to me. Consider me a particle of dust at your lotus feet.
33. I am your eternal servant, but I forgot your lordship. Now I've fallen into the ocean of nescience and have been conditioned by the external energy. Go ahead, Melissa.
My screen didn't populate. Okay. Be causelessly merciful to me by giving me a place with the particles of dust at your lotus feet, so that I may engage in the service of your lordship as your eternal servant.
Go ahead.
Text
Michael.
35. Natural humility and eagerness then awoke in Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He prayed to Krishna to be able to chant the Maha Mantra in ecstatic love.
Text 36. My dear Lord, when will my eyes be beatified by filling with tears that constantly glide down as I chant your holy name? When will my voice falter and all the hairs of my body stand erect in transcendental happiness as I chant your holy name? Go ahead, Al.
Text 37. Without love of Godhead, my life is useless. Therefore, I pray that you accept me as your servant and give me the salary of ecstatic love of God.
38, Michael.
Separation from Krishna awoke various mellows of distress, lamentation, and humility. Thus, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu spoke like a crazy man.
39. Oh, my Lord Govinda, because of separation from you, I consider even a moment a great millennium. Tears flow from my eyes like torrents of rain, and I see the entire world as void. Melissa, 40.
In my agitation, a day never ends, for every moment seems like a millennium, pouring incessant tears. My eyes are like clouds in the rainy season.
Text 41. The three worlds have become void because of separation from Govinda. I feel as if I were burning alive in the slow fire.
42. Lord Krishna has become indifferent to me just to test my love, and my friends say, better to disregard him.
Text 43. While Srimati Radharani was thinking in this way, the characteristics of natural love became manifest because of her pure heart.
I don't know who this person is. Moto G, Clay. Are you there? Devananda was trying to get on before, but I don't know if he could. All right, so 44. The ecstatic symptoms of envy, great eagerness, humility, zeal, and supplication all became manifest at once. You there, Moto G? He's connecting. Anyway, go ahead, Alan. 45.
In that mood, the mind of Śrīmati Radharani was agitated, and therefore she spoke a verse of advanced devotion to her gopi friends.
Michael.
Text 46. In the same spirit of ecstasy, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu recited that verse, and as soon as he did so, he felt like Śrīmati Radharani.
47, Melissa.
Let Krishna tightly embrace this maidservant who has fallen at his lotus feet, or let him trample me or break my heart by never being visible to me. He is a debauchee, after all, and can do whatever he likes. But still, he alone and no one else is the worshipable Lord of my heart.
48. I am a maidservant at the lotus feet of Krishna. He is the embodiment of transcendental happiness and mellows. If he likes, he can tightly embrace me and make me feel oneness with him, or by not giving me his audience, he may corrode my mind and body. Nevertheless, it is he who is the Lord of my life. Alan, 49.
My dear friend, just hear the decision of my mind. Krishna is the Lord of my life in all conditions, whether he shows me affection or kills me by giving me unhappiness.
50, Michael.
Text 50. Sometimes Krishna gives up the company of other gopis and becomes controlled, mind and body, by me. Thus, he manifests my good fortune and gives others distress by performing his loving affairs with me.
Text 51. Or, since after all he is a very cunning, obstinate debauchee with a propensity to cheat, he takes the company of other women. He then indulges in loving affairs with them in front of me to give distress to my mind. Nevertheless, he is still the Lord of my life. Go ahead, Melissa. 52. And read the purport.
I do not mind my personal distress. I only wish for the happiness of Krishna, for his happiness is the goal of my life. However, if he feels great happiness in giving me distress, that distress is the best of my happiness.
Go ahead and read the purport.
Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakura says that a devotee does not care about his own happiness and distress. He is simply interested in seeing that Krishna is happy, and for that purpose he engages in various activities. A pure devotee has no way of sensing happiness except by seeing Krishna as happy in every respect. If Krishna becomes happy by giving him distress, such a devotee accepts that unhappiness as the greatest of all happiness. Those who are materialistic, however, who are very proud of material wealth and have no spiritual knowledge, like the Prakta Sahajiyas, regard their own happiness as the aim of life. Some of them aspire to enjoy themselves by sharing the happiness of Krishna. This is the mentality of fruitive workers who want to enjoy sense gratification by making a show of service to Krishna.
Text 53.
Good.
If Krishna, attracted by the beauty of some other woman, wants to enjoy with her but is unhappy because he cannot get her, I fall down at her feet, catch her hand, and bring her to Krishna to engage her for his happiness.
Michael.
Text 53.
54.
54. When a beloved gopi shows symptoms of anger towards Krishna, Krishna is very satisfied. Indeed, he is extremely pleased when chastised by such a gopi. She shows her pride suitably, and Krishna enjoys that attitude. And she gives up her pride with a little endeavor.
55. Why does a woman continue to live who knows that Krishna's heart is unhappy, but who still shows her deep anger toward him? She's interested in her own happiness. I condemn such a woman to be struck on the head with a thunderbolt, for we simply want the happiness of Krishna. Purport: a devotee who is satisfied only with his own sense gratification certainly falls down from the service of Krishna. Being attracted by material happiness, he later joins the Prakriti Sahajas, who are considered to be non-devotees. Alan?
Text 56. If a gopi, envious of me, satisfies Krishna, and Krishna desires her, I shall not hesitate to go to her house and become her maidservant. For then my happiness will be awakened.
Go ahead, Michael. 57.
The wife of a Brahmana suffering from leprosy manifested herself as the topmost of all chaste women by serving a prostitute to satisfy her husband. She thus stopped the movement of the sun, brought her dead husband back to life, and satisfied the three principal demigods, Brahma, Vishnu, and Maheshvara.
Go ahead and read the purport.
The Aditya Purana, Markandeya Purana, and Padma Purana tell about a Brahmana who was suffering from leprosy but had a very chaste and faithful wife. He desired to enjoy the company of a prostitute, and therefore his wife went to her and became her maidservant, just to draw her attention for his service. When the prostitute agreed to associate with him, the wife brought her leprotic husband. When that leper, the sinful son of a Brahmana, saw the chastity of his wife, he finally abandoned his sinful intentions. While coming home, however, he touched the body of Markandeya Rishi, who thus cursed him to die at sunrise. Because of her chastity, the woman was very powerful. Therefore, when she heard about the curse, she vowed to stop the sunrise. Because of her strong determination to serve her husband, the three deities, namely Brahma, Vishnu, and Maheshvara, were very happy, and they gave her the benediction that her husband would be cured and brought back to life. This example is given herein to emphasize that a devotee should engage himself exclusively for the satisfaction of Krishna without personal motives. That will make his life successful.
Go ahead, Melissa.
Krishna is my life and soul. Krishna is the treasure of my life. Indeed, Krishna is the very life of my life. I therefore keep him always in my heart and try to please him by rendering service. That is my constant meditation.
Text 59.
Go ahead.
Okay, there he is. My happiness is in the service of Krishna, and Krishna's happiness is in the union with me. For this reason, I give my body in charity to the lotus feet of Krishna, who accepts me as his loved one and calls me his most beloved. It is then I consider myself his maidservant.
Text 60. Service to my lover is the home of happiness and is more sweet than direct union with him. The goddess of fortune is evidence of this, for although she constantly lives on the heart of Narayan, she wants to render service to his lotus feet. She therefore considers herself a maidservant and serves him constantly. Go ahead, Melissa.
These statements by Śrīmati Radharani show the symptoms of pure love for Krishna tested by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In that ecstatic love, his mind was unsteady. Transformations of transcendental love spread throughout his entire body, and he could not sustain his body and mind.
Go ahead, Michael.
Text 62. The pure devotional service in Vrindavan is like the golden particles in the river Jambu. In Vrindavan, there is not a trace of personal sense gratification. It is to advertise such pure love in this material world that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has written the previous verse and explained its meaning.
Text 63. Thus overwhelmed by ecstatic love, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu spoke like a madman and recited suitable verses. Now,
Text 64. The Lord had formerly composed these 8 verses to teach people in general. Now, he personally tasted the meaning of the verses, which is called the Śikṣāṣtaka.
Go ahead, Michael.
Text 65. If anyone recites or hears these 8 verses of instruction by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, his ecstatic love and devotion for Krishna increase day by day.
Go ahead, Melissa.
Although Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is as deep and grave as millions of oceans, when the moon of his various emotions rises, he becomes restless.
67 and 8. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu read the verses of Jayadev Goswami's Gita Govinda, of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam and Ramananda Roy's drama Jagannath Vallabha Nataka, and of Bilbamangala Thakur's Krishna Karnamrita, he was overwhelmed by the various ecstatic emotions of those verses. Thus, he tasted their purports. Go ahead, Michael.
Text 69. For 12 years, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu remained in that state day and night. With his 2 friends, he tasted the meaning of those verses, which consists of nothing but the transcendental bliss and mellows of Krishna consciousness.
Okay, Alan.
Text 70. Even in
Anantadev.
Anantadev, who has thousands of faces, could not reach the end of describing the transcendental bliss of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes.
Melissa.
How then could an ordinary living being with very little intelligence describe such pastimes? Nevertheless, I am trying to touch but a particle of them just to rectify myself.
72. There is no limit to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's activities and his words of madness. Therefore, describing them all would greatly increase the size of this book. Michael.
Text 73. Whatever pastimes Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur has first described, I have merely summarized.
Alan.
Text 74. I have only very briefly described the pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, not described by Vrindavan Das Thakur. Nevertheless, because those transcendental pastimes are so numerous, the size of this book has increased.
Melissa.
It is impossible to describe all the pastimes elaborately. I shall therefore end this description and offer them my respectful obeisances.
76. What I have described gives merely an indication, but by following this indication, one may obtain a taste of all the pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Michael.
Text 77. I cannot understand the very deep, meaningful pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. My intelligence cannot penetrate them, and therefore I could not properly describe them.
Alan.
Text 78. After offering my respectful obedience to the lotus feet of all the Vaishnava readers, I shall therefore end this description of the characteristics of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Melissa.
The sky is unlimited, but many birds fly higher and higher according to their own abilities.
The pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are like the unlimited sky. How then can an ordinary living being describe them all? Michael.
Text 81. I have tried to describe them as far as my intelligence allows, as if trying to touch a drop in the midst of a great ocean.
Alan.
Text 82. Vrindavan Das Thakur is Lord Nityananda's favorite devotee, and therefore he is the original vice. Is it Vasudev?
Vyasadeva.
Vyasadeva, in describing the pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Go ahead and read the purport.
Sri Bhakti Siddhanta Sarasvati Thakur says that all the writers after Vrindavan Das Thakur who are pure devotees of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and who have tried to describe the Lord's activities are to be considered like Visha. Is it Visha?
Yeah.
Vyasa.
Vyasa.
Vyasa. Shri Vrindavana, Shri Vrindavan Das Thakur is the original Vyasadeva in describing Chaitanya Lila, and others who follow in this footsteps by describing Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes are also called Vyasadeva. The bona fide spiritual master is called Vyasa because he is a representative of Vyasa. Worshipping the birthday of such a spiritual master is called Vyasa. Is it Vyasa Puja?
Correct. 83. Although Vrindavan Das Thakur has within his jurisdiction the full store of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes, he has left aside most of them and described but a small portion. Melissa, 84.
What I've described was left aside by Vrindavana Dasa Thakura, but although he could not describe these pastimes, he gave us a synopsis.
Michael.
Text 85. In his book named Chaitanya Mangala, Chaitanya Bhagavatam, he has described these pastimes in many places. I request my readers to hear that book, for that is the best evidence.
I recommend it too. It's a great book. It's called Chaitanya Bhagavat because somebody else had a book named Chaitanya Mangala, so he named it Chaitanya Bhagavat. 86. I've described the pastimes very briefly, for it is impossible for me to describe them in full. In the future, however, Vyasadeva will describe them elaborately. Alan.
Text 87. In this Chaitanya Mangala, Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur has stated in many places the factual truth that is in the future. Vyasadeva will describe the Lord's pastimes elaborately. Jeez.
I'll just, you go ahead and read the purport. See if you can read it. I'll read the Sanskrit. The statement, Agar Vyas Karibe Varnane. Go ahead. Alan.
The unlimited pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will be described by Vasudeva in the future. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Sarasvati Thakur says that these statements indicate that in the future, other representatives of Vyasadeva will elaborately describe Lord Chaitanya's pastimes. The purport is that any devotee in this disciplic succession who describes the pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is confirmed to be the representative Vasudeva.
Okay, we're going to end it here because we only have 1 minute left. Does anybody have any questions? We'll start in the first verse and the next, in the first chapter. By the way, Bhakti Siddhanta, he started reading the Bhagavatam. He gave a class on that first verse. You know how many days it took him to go through that first verse? Anybody know?
30 days.
30 days. Yep. So we're not up to that standard. That's beyond my pay grade. But we'll try to start it next week and next Wednesday. Thank you all for coming and have a wonderful rest of your week. Thanks a lot. Hare Krishna.
Hare Bol.
Hare Krishna.
Thanks.
Thank you.